Greetings. This program may contain mature content. From the Hilt cautions. Viewer discretion is advised. This is live content and sometimes people swear. Because we like to say shit if we want to. Thank you. Enjoy the show.
Greetings, Yo Joe, let's go. Tonight we're going to be looking at 5 of my classic Joe takes. Before we do that, I'm going to shout people out in the chat. Now, I had some issues with my green screen today, so I'm not using it. Plus, people have seem to have issues with the transition between the Joe takes and me. So at the end, I'll come on, but in the beginning, between each Joe take, I will have my camera closed like this. You'll be able to hear me. But until then, I'll chat with you guys a bit and say hello to everybody. We're going to start with Tiger. Hi, Tiger. How you doing, my darling? And let me see. We got Cool Gamer in the house. How you doing? Tiger shouting Cobra. That's cool. Rudini. Hello, Ray. We just saw Ray's live a little bit ago. That was a pretty cool live with Darkness. And let me see. We got Cyber Godzilla, Superior Cyber Godzilla. How you doing, Soups? Nice to see you. You said Cobra Commander. Thanks for the shout out. I'm in the store right now. Join in when I'm in the car to be safe. Well, that's cool, dude. It's all good. We got Renee from Brasco Lucy. How you doing, Renee? It's nice to see you. Nice to see everybody. It's nice to be back doing these regular lives on Thursdays. Normally this is my Thursday night review slot, but sometimes I do like Joe takes. And near the end of May, I'm going to start doing some music videos. And just hanging out. It's going to be like a chill stream, so it should be a lot of fun. We've got a lot of those that we can share now. And we also got Share Bear. Nice to meet you earlier, and good to see you here tonight. So I hope you like G.I. Joe, because what I'm playing is some of my older takes on G.I. Joe characters. So tonight we got 5, and it's actually the start of what we Cobra Convergence 7 last summer, where we did just a bunch of Cobras, and Beachhead kind of does the introduction to that. And then the next Joe Takes Classics, I will do the conclusion to Operation Dungeon Siege. But it's up on the channel. You can watch them all individually and all together into one video, just the Playmation type videos, which we had a lot of fun doing. Tiger and I and my Red and Jake, we all worked on all of those together and had some fun, and you'll see some of those tonight. And then at the end, I've got a Bat slideshow to show you that I was supposed to include in the Bat video but never did. So it's kind of what I wanted to do with Joe Takes, not only get them back a copy of them, but also to put in things that I had left out. Thanks for that to Renee. I appreciate that. I love the background too. It's pretty cool. It looks even better when I'm not in it. So we're going to go with that. Hungar's in the house saying hi to Tiger and everyone up here. I almost missed you there, Hungar. Sorry. Hope you're doing well, sir. I know you had a stint in the hospital last week or roundabouts, and I hope you're home and safe, buddy. Everybody's saying hi, and Renee says you should let us know where you are at on your watch time. You probably have a bunch. You know what? Right now we are at 2.5, so I'm doing pretty good. Yes, we haven't really had to worry about that much, so it's been kind of cool. Oh, that's too bad, buddy. Well, hopefully you can hang out and watch some Joe Takes, and I'll be in the chat, and we'll see you in a bit. I am going to start Joe Takes number, if I remember right, number 9, and that's going to be Stormshadow. Stormshadow is a little different because he could be a Joe, he could be a Cobra. It's up to you to decide, and I don't really decide that in the video. I'm gonna be honest with you, but here we go. Let me get this started. And Yo Joe. Greetings. I'm Christopher Logan Hilt, and today on Joe Takes from the Hilt, we are taking a look at Stormshadow. Now, we're going to try to talk about and answer the age-old question of whether Stormshadow should be a G.I. Joe or a Cobra. Now, we'll get to that, but we'll start with the figures. And now for the accessories of my vintage stuff, I had set them aside so I wouldn't lose them. So naturally, I forgot where I set them aside to. So I don't have those to show you today, but I looked everywhere. I don't know where they are. But here's my vintage Stormshadow. He is missing a thumb, but other than that, he's really intact. Well, I'm pretty sure that's not his original crotch. I went through all my stuff and I looked at the below gun. I'm thinking that's a dojo crotch, but it fit really well and hard to notice. And I probably swapped it out because the original broke. But I ended up getting in the 2000s. I ended up getting a comic pack with Snake Eyes and a Red Ninja, and it came with this version. So I have a really good version of Stormshadow for you to look at today. Now, Stormshadow, like I said, the accessories that came with this, like I said, I had put them aside, but I have misplaced where I put them, so I feel really, really good today about that. Yes, sir. Now, in the comics, G.I. Joe, Stormshadow went from being a Cobra to joining forces with Snake Eyes to hunt down the killer of his uncle and their original sensei, the Hardmaster. And that's a really cool story arc, and this is one of my favorite covers of G.I. Joe because you've got Snake Eyes and Stormshadow there together fighting Cobra, but yet Stormshadow was still in his Cobra outfit, and I thought that was great because he hadn't fully transitioned to a G.I. Joe yet, but he was definitely no longer Cobra at that point. I'm not going to spoil what happens for you. That you should go back and check all the 155 issue run of Marvel's A Real American Hero out. They have some really nice collected volumes, so it's fairly easy to find. If not, it's pretty expensive to get it all. I'm still working on it, but I do have most of the original series from back when I was collecting it. Now, that takes us to Stormshadow as a G.I. Joe. Now, I don't have my vintage version of this figure. I used it for parts because I don't know. At the time, it wasn't my favorite. I wish I had, but that's just how it goes. I'll probably end up picking up another one down the line here, but this 25th anniversary Stormshadow is pretty good. I mean, it definitely captures the essence of what he looked like as a G.I. Joe, and I really like this one. Now, they did later on, for the retro line, not too long ago, come out with a Stormshadow in his original outfit, but it looks way different. Now, as you can see, it has all the earmarks of the original. This, like I said, this one doesn't have sleeves, but they did a pretty good job on the retro line of capturing the essence of this particular Stormshadow. Now, for the classified, they came out with so far 4 different versions of Stormshadow. I have 3. I don't have the new retro one yet, but I'm going to look at the movie one first because I want to go over the differences between the other two because you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. But the movie Stormshadow is hit and miss. I mean, I know the head of the actor who played him, but that's actually a fairly decent likeness. I'm not real hip on the color. For me, it actually makes more sense that he has the off-white instead of the lighter white as a ninja, and he's number 17 in the series. But the box art wasn't bad. I mean, it represented who Stormshadow was in the movie. And to me, the Snake Eyes origin movie is really a Stormshadow movie, but that's just my opinion. I think they didn't do bad, but they could have done a lot better. So that takes us to the first classified figure that came out, and that would be the Arctic Mission Stormshadow. Now, he's listed as a Cobra, but this was definitely his second G.I. Joe outfit. And this is the one where he was the Ninja Force leader. Now, the artwork here is it's okay. He's number 14 in this series, but on the side it's a bit better. But you know, for Stormshadow's first appearance in the classified, and for it to be an exclusive, it was, I don't know, it seemed to be a bit of a letdown to me. But then they finally kind of got it right with this Stormshadow, who ended up being number 35 in the series, which is way into it so far. Well, they're actually about ready to hit the 90s and stuff. We got some the 60s that are out already. But yeah, the box art was pretty good. For some reason, when I looked for a picture of it, it didn't include this top part, but that saves it for the video, so I think that's kind of cool too. But it did have this bit here, and it, you know, so the scan I found of it was pretty cool. But Stormshadow, I think he looked better in his Cobra uniform. I do like the second one. This one here, where he his first G.I. Joe uniform. I do like it better than the Ninja Force one. I like the fact on this 25th anniversary figure that rope moves, and I think they did a pretty good job with the 25th anniversary and the retro line. I do like the way these figures move. It was interesting that he came with a fan, but that takes us to the actual classified figure. Now, this figure, I think, is incredible. A lot of people are disappointed by the fact that he didn't come with tattoos on his arms. I do like the fact that he doesn't have sleeves like on this comic book figure. I think it's more of an homage to this one. This is why I really brought this one out, more so than, you know, just because it's a better, nicer looking figure. I did have to replace the O-ring on my vintage figure, naturally. Now, this bow that he comes with, I do like it. I'm pretty sure it's the same one that came in the Arctic Mission pack, but I'd have to actually break them out and compare them at the same time. But there's this little notch in the bow where you can, this arrow comes with it, and you can actually clip it in, and it holds it in place really well. It's kind of cool. Now I'm going to take the arrow out, the little arrow, and I'm going to put it in the backpack like it goes, and it slides right into place in the backpack. And I think that's a really nice touch. You can't even tell that it's an extra piece, but it comes right out and slides right back in. The swords. Now, see, I always had issues with this backpack, so I'm going to take it off here and show you. This is definitely an homage to the original. The original used to pop open, and the bow would go inside. His bow snaps onto the back of this. The bow went on the outside, and a pair of nunchucks went inside. He didn't come with a pair of nunchucks in the classified, but the original one did. Now, these swords, they're pretty good. I like the dragon heads on the pommel. It's really cool. At least I think so. And, you know, he's got is it a Ninja Toe or a Wakizashi? We're not sure. It was probably a Ninja Toe because he's supposed to be a ninja. And if I can see what I'm doing there. And then you got his, his katana, which is pretty cool. So yeah, this holds all his accessories, and I like that aspect of it. However, when you are trying to use it for when he has his bow, if you put it on his backpack like that, you either have the swords up where you can reach them, or the arrows. And maybe it's just me, but it's kind of a gripe because he's constantly either moving his backpack around or using his left hand to grab arrows out of his backpack, which if he's got his bow in his left hand and he's firing with his right hand, which is the way the figure is set up to do it, he really, how's he going to reach clear over on the left side to get his arrow with his right hand? To me, I didn't get it. I don't know why they did it that way. Also, this hood, I like that it comes off because he looks so much better without it. I mean, this figure is a hit for me. I really like it. I like the fact that they put gray on his leggings there, on his calves, and I've got him on a generic battle stand. I also like the fact that I'm a sucker for tassels on ninjas. I don't know why the little things that hang off their belts. I think that's a cool and nice touch. I don't know why they did it, but it looks cool. That's probably why they did it. But this piece comes off. I don't take it off because I like to leave it on there. I know that if you keep taking things on and off figures, it wears the plastic over time. So I like to just leave it. The accessory on the bow has I don't know if you can see that in the video, but let me take it out of his hand here and I'll take a look at it. But it's got a red handle, and I think that's kind of cool. And like I said, I love the fact that it has the little clip there, so you can put the arrow, you can slot it right in there, and how it makes it so when you're posing him, you can definitely get some pretty dynamic shots, like I did my little trailer I did for this video. I really like this Stormshadow. I'm glad that I was able to pick it up, and when I was doing my top 10 list, I was kind of surprised that Stormshadow wasn't actually in my top 10 because I really like this character. But then again, I like so many characters in G.I. Joe. It's hard to differentiate a top 10. But what's interesting is he's on both lists. He's on G.I. Joe and Cobra. And when I was compiling my list, the way I did it was I put them by years. And I made whatever the top 10 was, I'd go and compare that to the next year, and whichever figure I liked more, I would start it there and have my top figures from each year. I molded them in together until I got my top 10. Actually, I did them all. I have my list all the way of. I'm pretty sure for G.I. Joe it's 250, and Cobra it's a little over 200, or exactly 200 if I remember right. Or close to 200. But Stormshadow, ironically enough, came out as number 19 on both my G.I. Joe and my Cobra list. I didn't even plan it that way. So I thought that was pretty cool. Interesting, but cool. So yeah, I like 18 Cobras better than Stormshadow, and 18 Joes better than Stormshadow. However, that's it for in the field of nearly 500 characters. That's still pretty impressive. Definitely in my top 50. And so when you have so many characters in a storyline, 50 in your 19, I think is pretty cool. And he is one of my favorites. I enjoy the figure, and I had so much fun playing Stormshadow as a bad guy. So the question is, do we prefer Stormshadow as a G.I. Joe or a Cobra? Now, when I'm doing my own storylines, I like Stormshadow as a bad guy. He's the Cobra Ninja. However, reading this Larry Holler run, in the Marvel comics, and now in the IDW and in the new ones he's going to be doing. Stormshadow transitioned almost seamlessly from a Cobra to a Joe because his whole purpose was to find his uncle's murderer that he was blamed for. And him and Snake Eyes together as Ninja Brothers, I like that a lot. So it's kind of a mixed bag for me. Is he a G.I. Joe? Is he a Cobra? And then they in the IDW run, they had a bit where Stormshadow was brainwashed, and Snake Eyes rescued him and brought him back to the Joes after Cobra Commander had brought him back to Cobra for a little while. But then Snake Eyes got captured, and he was brainwashed, and then Stormshadow rescued him. And the storytelling, it can be a lot of fun sometimes, but I do love this Real American Hero run, and this cover is great. Now, where does he fall into the Cobra hierarchy? The way I see it in the actual line, he's their Cobra Ninja. A lot of times they show him as like in the cartoon, he showed up with Destro, but yet he was loyal to Cobra Commander, to the point where when Cobra Commander was trying to hire somebody to kill Serpentor, Stormshadow was with him. When in the last episode of the second season of Sunbow, Stormshadow was right with Cobra Commander, Destro, and Firefly when Cobra Commander was plotting to get rid of Serpentor. So it's hard to say where he falls. Now, in the cartoon, his antagonist was Spirit until he got to the Decline, and then that whole storyline where with Snake Eyes and the Ninja Force, it was okay. It wasn't one of their better episodes for the Deke, but it wasn't one of their worst episodes. You'd have to check that out. It's been a while since I watched it. I think I watched it once and fell asleep through half of it, but it's been a while since I watched it. So in Cobra, he was Cobra Commander's bodyguard in the comics, and whenever he needed a serious mission, he sent in Stormshadow. He was the go-to guy, and Cobra Commander didn't want to give that up. I get that. I mean, Stormshadow is probably one of the deadliest characters in G.I. Joe. So in my headcanon, what happened was Stormshadow transitioned over and went to the Joes, Cobra Commander managed to get some of his DNA and cloned him. So Cobra Commander now has, in my storyline, several Stormshadow clones that understand that they are clones, but that Stormshadow is a traitor. That's the way they see it. So it's sort of like with the Red Ninjas. The Red Ninjas stayed working for Cobra, but Stormshadow did not, and Stormshadow trained a lot of those Red Ninjas for Cobra. So it's kind of hard to fathom the Cobra hierarchy, like I've said many times before. But Stormshadow doesn't really have a place in the hierarchy, per se. I really don't want to go into that now. As far as G.I. Joe, it's pretty easy. His file card lists him as an E8, which is a Master Sergeant or First Sergeant, which would make him the First Sergeant of the Ninja Force. But yet, they always seemed in the comics to put Snake Eyes as the leader of that team. And then when Scarlet kind of joined the Ninja Force in the comics, I don't know. In my headcanon, Scarlet was the lieutenant, and Snake Eyes and Stormshadow were like the co-leaders, and they were both Master Sergeants. Even though Snake Eyes' file cards didn't show him as a Master Sergeant until a lot later. But Stormshadow originally was listed as an E5. A lot of people don't think that Stormshadow had a rank in G.I. Joe, but he did. And then when he became the leader of the Ninja Force, he was an E8. So, but yet Dojo, I think one of them, Dojo or Chibang, was also an E8. There was a E7, which is a Sergeant First Class, and then Nunchuck was an E5. But that was the original Ninja Force, and they were pretty cool. Then later on they added Bushido, the Snow Ninja, and Bonsai, which I like those characters too. But I don't think they were in anything. I don't think, except for maybe the the Devil's Due run, America's Elite G.I. Joe. I'm not really sure. I didn't get a lot of those. I have some of them. But the America's Elite, that series, I liked how it ended with the World War III, where Cobra set up World War III. So there's some interesting storytelling. It's not Hama. It's not the Hamaverse, but it's somebody else's headcanon. Like, I have my headcanon. A lot of you have your headcanon. And Larry Hama, he's got his, is it canon? It is Larry Hama's canon. And that's the way I see that. Now, so favorite moments of the cartoon, the Sunbow cartoon. It's hard to say. I do love that right away he had an interaction with Spirit where they were fighting over that box. I can't remember what it was called at this moment in time. For some reason, it's right out of my head. But where they used it and they got trapped underground in a cave with water, and they used it to breathe underneath why they got shot up out of it. And then later on, him and Spirit went back and forth whether they're fighting or trying to save each other. It was kind of weird. I mean, they didn't hate each other, but yet and they respected each other, but they were definitely enemies. So I like that aspect. But my favorite all-time cartoon, Sunbow cartoon, was with where Stormshadow got the Excalibur sword, and the name of the episode is Excalibur. There are so many moments in that Excalibur episode that are just incredibly cool. Especially the interaction between Duke and Flint, where Flint was pretty much asking for anything he wanted, and it happened. It came true, and it was really, you could tell it was kind of annoying Duke, and that had nothing to do with the Stormshadow storyline, but it was funny. But he, like I said, Stormshadow got a hold of the sword Excalibur because they were on a mission in Britain, and it was pretty cool. So definitely, if you haven't seen the Sunbow episode of the first season Excalibur with Stormshadow, check that out. He even flies a Rattler at the beginning of that. It's like, oh, Stormshadow's a pilot now too. So the cartoon had its issues. Whether Stormshadow is a pilot, I don't think they ever said one way or another in the comics, but they all knew how to fly jets in the cartoon. But which, yeah, that's a skill that all the Joes and Cobras can do it. So that takes us to the comic book. I've kind of already mentioned many storylines that I love. It's again, I love the whole saga. It's hard to pin down a favorite moment, but I think my favorite moment, and I'm pretty sure it's in this issue, but it's been a while since I've read this, but is where they're storming a beach on Cobra Island, and the Baroness guns Stormshadow down. I mean, it sounds kind of weird because technically he was killed in that moment, but what he did was he used a ninja technique and slowed his heartbeat down. And like I said, you'll have to read it. Stormshadow is an awesome character, an incredibly skilled ninja. I think he's a better ninja than Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes definitely is tougher, but that has to do with the combination of his commando skills and his ninja skills together. And I know you could be a ninja and be a commando. You could be a ranger and you could be a commando. Commando is kind of a generic term for special forces troopers, but Snake Eyes is the only G.I. Joe commando, with one exception, and that's Shipwreck. On one figure was listed as the naval commando, and I'm pretty sure that those are the only two figures listed as commando, but Snake Eyes is the only one that's strictly the commando. And Stormshadow, original ninja, as far as the action figures are concerned. I know Snake Eyes was a ninja too, but that was revealed later. So where do you put yourself on this issue? And you got to ask yourself: is Stormshadow a G.I. Joe, or is he a Cobra? Like I said, in my headcanon, he's both. So I don't personally answer that question, and only you as a fan can determine whether you think he should be a G.I. Joe or a Cobra. Now, Larry Hama obviously sees him as a G.I. Joe. because that's the way he is in the storyline now, and that's the way he transitioned through his whole story arc in the comic book. Now, in other mediums, like almost all of the cartoon except for the Sunbow, he was a Cobra. So a lot of fans love him as a Cobra, and I'm sorry, this figure right here shows it all. I mean, this is definitely his coolest look. Now, I actually, when he in the comic books, when he took on Cobra Commander's son Billy as an apprentice, Billy ended up wearing this uniform, and I don't know, he just didn't fill it out as well as Stormshadow. Um, Stormshadow to me is one of the most important characters in the G.I. Joe storyline. I found him to, without Stormshadow, you wouldn't have the popularity that Snake Eyes has. At least I don't believe so. I mean, right from issue 21, Silent Interlude, where Stormshadow kidnaps Scarlet, and Snake Eyes goes to rescue her, but she rescues herself, and they end up escaping together. If you haven't read Silent Interlude, which really you don't have to do much reading, it's just looking at the pictures and maybe sound effects. That was an innovative comic, and it's definitely worth checking out. But that was Stormshadow's first appearance in the comics, and it just, for me, it got better. Stormshadow is a great character. So that takes us to this portion of this episode of Joe Takes. And my question is: Stormshadow a G.I. Joe or Cobra? For me, he's both. And you gotta answer that yourself. What is he for you? Is he a G.I. Joe or is he a Cobra? And with that all being said, log it out. All right, let's see if we get Beachhead set up here. I think. Greetings. There we go. I'm Christopher Logan Hill, and on this episode of Joe Takes, we're going to be taking a look at my favorite characters, and that's the Beachhead from the Hill. So let's jump right in and start looking at figures. However, before we look at Beachhead, we can't give a nod to the original Ranger from the Joes, and that would be Stalker. Now, he's got a video coming up in a couple months from the Hilt, but this particular retro figure, I don't know. It's like they hit dynamite on this one. He probably won't be in that video, but I just wanted to show him off. This is my extra one. For some reason, this particular figure ended up being like a peg warmer at Walmart there for a while. I don't know why. Really high quality figure. One of the better ones they put out for the retro line, and one of the best Stalker figures I think they put out. I know a lot of people gravitate to that original Stalker, but I never had that one, so I still don't have one of those. I'm gonna have to see if I can get one here pretty soon. But today we're focusing on this Ranger, and that would be Beachhead. Now, Beachhead, I don't know, even before he was in the comic book or the cartoon, I saw that card art for him, and I don't know. I gravitated towards this character right away. I love the backpack. It has like a crossbow and a grappling arrow, like on the side over here. The grappling arrows on the side. Now, when we look at the classified backpack, you'll be able to see it clearer because they did some stuff with that. And we'll talk about that a bit. And then there's his wasp. Well, that's what a lot of people call it. don't know if that's the real name for that weapon, but that's his machine gun, the Wasp, and that was cool too. Man, so many fond memories of this figure. I'm pretty sure that I have new arms and a new crotch on this figure, but the rest of it is from my original figure. Now, he also came with a satchel of either ammo or explosives, very similar to the original Snake Eyes figure. No, it's not. It's definitely a way different part, but the problem with this one is it comes apart in the middle like that. So, yeah, I think I broke mine about in less than a year after I bought him. Now, in the vintage line, they did come out with one other Beachhead. Now, the accessories for that Beachhead are useless. I always give him other things, but they came on a tree, and he came with these two. This was like a recoil gun and a shockwave pistol, and I think that was a rock viper pistol. I'm not 100% sure, but anyway, this is the rifle. I mean, the yellow just kind of said, "Okay, I don't like those," but whatever. Which is odd because my favorite character does have a yellow uniform, but in the accessories they should have been black or gray or something along those lines. Maybe even a green. Now we'll get into that here in a bit. How that's not necessarily a good thing either. But this particular Beachhead, uh, a lot of people don't really care for this one. I don't know. When he came out, I was so ready for a new Beachhead, and that was before I had repaired mine. So mine was all chewed up by that time. So this guy right here for a while was my go-to Beachhead. You know, some of it, like the motor, well, bicycle helmet and then the goggles. That was a little weird, but it wasn't a bad figure. It had these like brass knuckles on the gloves. I doubt you can see that in the video, but maybe if I get a little closer, it was kind of cool, and I don't know how that translates into the camera, but the card art for that figure I have at the end. I have a clip of that I'm going to play at the end of the video. You might be able to see it then, maybe because the card art always displays things a little better. Now, for the modern line, Beachhead did get quite a few figures, a lot more than I remember, and I have most of them. But the 25th anniversary one, it was pretty decent, and I just love that 25th anniversary logo and the silver border all the way around these particular figures. Now, this guy, man, they did a pretty good job. 25th anniversary figures had their issues, but at least he came with a decent machine gun. It wasn't quite as Wasp, but then the crossbow actually snaps into the backpack there. So that was kind of cool, and they continue that on into the Classic Island exclusive. That line actually went into Tiger Force. But we got some pretty neat figures out of that Cobra Island line. Baroness of the Coil, which I've already taken a look at. And Cobra Trooper, which I got that lined up in a few months too. But yeah, it took me a while to get all these Cobra Trooper figures. And Beachhead, and this one was, for me, the hardest one to get, probably because it was one of my favorites. But also, at the time, they were like, for some reason, they were going way up. And I ended up picking him up on Amazon. I have spent more on this figure than any other. And what was sad was in about a week, it went way down again. I'm like, well, thanks, but I have him, so it doesn't matter. And the box art for Beachhead is pretty good. And again, I have better versions of that. I had to really get a different scan. I couldn't really find a decent one online, but he's number 10 in the series. And whatever. I wish the Hasbro would have clarified, maybe put a booklet in here on what those meant, or even on the back of the box had something along those lines, because they just have these on all of them. This is the generic one for the Cobra Island figures, and then they have the generic one for the regular series, and that changed up a little bit as they went on. But box art was decent. I did like the background for the inside for the Cobra Island thing. I guess we oh, you know what? That's in the trailer, so you can check that out. That's right. I already did that. But that takes us to the classified figure himself. Now, he's going to take us into what everybody's calling Cobra Convergence this month. Cobra Convergence 7, as a matter of fact, put on by HCC 788, and so many other content creators online. You can go to his website, which is linked in the description below, to get the full schedule for Cobra Convergence. Now, this figure, it came with the beret that was normally on his lapel, if I remember that right. That's the right word. And it's a cool little beret, but in contrast to how I feel about Flint's beret, Beachhead looks a lot better without the beret in the classified line. And then we get into these green guns. Now, as I said earlier, green guns, if done right, aren't so bad. But I'm not sure if these are good or bad. I mean, they don't look bad. And in the card art, they have these electronic bits that showed up as blue. And it looks like it was a good concept, but I don't know. Everybody called them Nerf guns, and in a way, I agree. I don't understand what they were going for with that, but I still like them. The accessory, it's pretty cool. I wish it was black or gray like the original Beachhead. Now, like I was saying, with the backpack, and I was doing some photography for Cobra Convergence 7, and the backpack is with that, apparently. So, yes, we're not going to look at it. See, now we have this the pistol, and again, it's in that same green and does kind of look like an Nerf gun. Now, what I might do is actually put a little extra bit here near the end where I show the backpack, if I can, if I remember. Got lots going on today. It's a busy Saturday. But I got one of those generic battle stands. They serve their purpose, at least. Now, this particular figure, though, man, they did a good job with this on making him look like the original to a certain extent. I mean, naturally, you don't see the lapel. On the lapel, that you don't see the beret that's in there because they actually have the beret out. So, in a way, that's kind of nice. But in another way, I wish that it had something where you could actually. I don't think they would ever be able to fold up the beret, but maybe they could have had something that clipped on like they did the Joe Pro. They have the Joe Pro there. They could have had something that, it would have been a little accessory that would probably get lost, but who knows? I did like the touches of red on his holster, and then he has a knife on his left boot. Now, oddly enough, when I took my look at Dusty's figure had a knife on the left boot as well, but then they switched it to the right, and so his gun, his pistol, the sidearm, excuse me, and his knife were on the same side. Now, Beachhead actually had originally two knives on that side and no pistol. His pistol was actually on the left side. And then for this, they went and put the pistol on the right side and the knife on the left side. So they flipped it. Maybe they're trying to fix things, but the way I see it, Beachhead was a lefty, but not this classified figure, apparently. Or like Beachhead would say, that's just for picture taking. Yeah. Yeah. So that takes us to the character himself. I mean, he first appeared in the comics in issue 47 of the Larry Hama Marvel Run. And this is one of my favorite covers. And I don't think you can really see it very well there. So I will have put it up here so you can get a closer look. And I know in the plastic, it kind of makes a glare sometimes, but I think I managed to get a really good shot of that. Of course, they had the direct to consumer copy there. I used to have the one with the serial numbers. I can't remember what they called it back then. Now, what was odd about Marvel Comics back then is the months came out almost 4 months early. So, like if it says, like on here, it says May, that would have actually come out, 4 months earlier, and they would have said May on it, but it would have been the May issue would have actually come out in like I think March, April, February, and so I didn't pick this up when it originally came out. I had to get this one later. The first one I got on subscription was actually issue 52. That's that really neat cover with Stormshadow versus Quick Kick, which was nice. But we're talking about Beachhead today. Now, that was Hawk's new uniform, and that was the first appearance of Wetsuit and Beachhead together. It was a really, really cool issue where they went to try to help. It kind of goes off of the issue I was talking about in my Storm Shadow video last week, where this issue happens right after the Storm Shadow got gunned down on the beach. They showed up to rescue Snake Eyes, but that storyline is really cool and deserves to be checked out more than once. I've read this at least 3 or 4 times in my life. Well, okay, so that's the comic book. Beachhead in the comics didn't have as much of a presence as he did in the Sunbow cartoon, but he was there, and especially the Special Mission series. He led a lot of those, and one of the coolest ones of those was the Low Light. Low Light was the feature character in that, and Beachhead led a team, and they were going after some computer chips naturally, and then Low Light was the FBI agent that had, or CIA agent, whatever, the undercover agent that they were working with, basically tried to set Lowlight up based on his profile to shoot their target, but he didn't, and it was a cool little issue. That was early on in the Special Mission series, and that series lasted a lot longer than you would think, because at first it was every other month, and then they about halfway through the series they switched to being every month. But so in the comics, Beach had a lot of small roles, like when they invaded Cobra's headquarters in Springfield. Beachhead was on that team with all the toughest Joes, so that was kind of neat. Um, I think my favorite appearance of Beachhead, I mean, I love this one, but was actually in issue 50 in the the preview for the Special Mission series was in the back of that issue, and him, Flint, and Lady J were on this special mission, and he had popped up inside this plane behind one of these terrorists and grabbed her from behind, and he put a knife to her head. He said, "I'm no gentleman, and I have no compunction." So he was ready to take her out. It was pretty cool. Uh, Beachhead was always ready to do what he had to do, and he'd go above and beyond, even in the comics. Now, in the Sunbow cartoon, we know that they had him as fourth in command. Like I said before, he was Flint's NCO, and I still kind of put him that way. Going and doing my Cobra Convergence right now. I'll get into that in a bit, but I'll talk about how I do my ranks a bit here for that. But my favorite moment in the Sunbow cartoon with Beachhead was actually in a Shipwreck episode where Shipwreck was telling a story to a bunch of kids. Uh, uh, it was Once Upon a Joe. That's the name of it. I knew it popped in my head, but Beachhead was basically grilling Shipwreck through that whole episode, and there was a moment where Shipwreck asked him about the MacGuffin device, and that's what they really called it in that episode. And Beachhead said it was classified, and Shipwreck said, "So you don't know either, That was a cool episode with Beachhead. And then there was Ninja Holiday, where he led his team of Joes in to try to stop Cobra from recruiting an assassin, and Sergeant Slaughter got kidnapped. Well, not really kidnapped, but he went to a tournament. And so that was a good one where him, low light, sci-fi, a leatherneck and wetsuit. They went into this seedy little tavern and basically shot it all up with these two ninjas started acting all bad, and they just shot all around them, and the walls fell down, and the ninja surrendered, and Beachhead said, "All right, now let's have a nice little conversation. Oh, there's a free table over here." It was pretty cool. But anyway, uh, in the comic book, Beachhead definitely had a stronger presence. Now, he wasn't in the Sunbow cartoon, and I'm probably happier that he wasn't. Later on, he was in. He had a bit part in Spy Troops. I don't think he was in. He might have been in Valor versus Venom. It's been a while since I've watched those, but I think that he was really missing from the movies. And if they'd have really done their research, they would have put together a team of Joes that are specialized in that. And I think they should have either had Stalker or Beachhead in the movies. And in the first one of those movies, they had Heavy Duty. That should have been Stalker, Hawk and Stalker. That's my opinion, I think. But whatever. So that's my opinion of of Beachhead. As far as the cartoon and the comic are concerned, now I've already gone over where I see him in the hierarchy of Joes and the ranks. He's in my head canon. He's one of the first shirts, one of the first sergeants under the top sergeant. He's my Bravo leader. Bravo leader is Fire Team Bravo. I have Fire Team Alpha, Fire Team Bravo. I actually have Fire Team Charlie and Delta, but I'll reveal that as it goes. But Stalker is Fire Team Alpha leader. Beachhead's Fire Team Bravo leader. And at the end of this video, I'm going to play that whole bit, the trailer that I had on Monday on Joe Takes number 10. And that was the reason I made Beachhead episode 10 for Joe Takes, is because he's number 10. But I think that's probably the only one I'm going to line up like that. It just kind of worked out that way, but I made it work out that way. So as far as Cobra Convergence is concerned, that's going to be throughout this whole entire month. And this this episode was kind of the end of June. So I hadn't really intended to make it part of Cobra Convergence, because the next 4 videos in a row are all going to be about Cobra characters. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a little slideshow of pictures of photography that my wife and I've done. Okay, so let's give credit where credit's due. It's mostly the Tiger, who has done all the photography. I helped set up, and it was my idea, but she adds a lot to it and makes it look better than I would have done. I've never been really good at that kind of stuff. I mean, photography is not my thing, but she's an artist, and she made it work. I think. I hope you like it. That video of this little slideshow of photos will come up on Monday, and I did submit it to Hood Cobra Commander for Cobra Convergence. Whether he uses it or not, that's up to him. But it will be on my channel, and then it'll be on the Joe Takes at the end, like I'm going to do for the trailer today. And I think I might make that a thing. We'll see how that works out. But also at the end, I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to do a little intro, just an audio clip right after the trailer. And it will take us right into Cobra Convergence. So with that all being said, Logan out. Okay, I did find Beachhead's backpack. And like I was saying, it has the crossbow that clips in, it comes right out, and then goes right back in. It's a little harder to push back in, but once it goes in there, it stays really good. And again with the green, but it would have been better black, but it goes in, then you got the little grapple arrow there. This, like I said, it looks a lot like the Beachhead's original, and so I just thought I'd add this in so you can see the comparison. All right, take it easy.
calling Bravo Leader. Come in, Beachhead.
Bravo Leader here. Go ahead, Breaker.
The fighting east of you is under control. Flint wants you to investigate something Lady J spotted on the satellite imaging within 3 clicks of your POS. She thinks it's a bunker or underground compound.
Yeah, intercepts from the Cobra Comms have been mentioning something called the Dungeon.
Affirmative. That's your target, Beachhead.
All my fire teams are diverted to the south. Only Gun Ho and I are maintaining surveillance. I need some support if I'm to find a bunker.
That's a Raj, Beachhead. Alpha Leader is sending 3 members of Team 5's Alpha Squad. We are redesignating them as Team Bravo.
Why only 3?
Airtight is dealing with a possible chemical weapon and won't be joining his squad mates.
Sounds like Stalker's in it deep.
He sends his regrets.
When will they arrive?
They should be coming up on your POS as we speak.
Yeah, I see them moving through the swamp like a trio of, dare I say, copperheads.
Proceed to target and identify the entrance, then report in.
Fire Team Bravo will see it done, even if it's only got some gold bricks from Fire Team Alpha to work with.
Copy that. Breaker out.
10-4, Bravo out. All right, Joe. Cobra's got some kind of underground bunker around here they call the Dungeon. We're going to go find it and then call into headquarters to help them take it out or go in and take it out ourselves. Greetings, I'm Christopher Logan Hill, and today on Joe Takes, we're going to be taking a look at a Croc Master. But before I mention any of that today, this is going to be the second installment for Cobra Conversion 7. If you guys don't know what that is, then you need to check the link below to the Hooded Cobra Commander website, Hooded Commander 788 website, for the schedule. They're doing all sorts of G.I. Joe stuff all month long. All sorts of G.I. Joe content creators are jumping into this, and everybody's throwing their hat into the ring and making a video about Cobra. And today, my video is about Croc Master. Now, at the end, the On Joe Takes 11 video, if you saw that, and you saw my entry into Operation Dungeon Siege, which this is part 1. Last week I did my Beachhead video, had an intro into that, so you might want to check that out. I'm sure when I'm done with all of this that I'm probably going to consolidate those parts into one big video, but for now, we're looking at Croc Master. Now, I had all his original accessories. The only thing that is an issue with this character, this figure, is that piece of his crotch piece broke off just a little bit, and there's a crack in his chest. I don't know if you can see that, but I like this figure from the get-go. A lot of people didn't, and when he first came out, now he's like, kind of a fan favorite to a lot of people. But this whip originally had a little longer end on it, and it had a little forked tongue, and it was kind of cool. But I played with it so much that at some point it got caught on something and broke. And the handle, the little connector piece, that broke. But that just shows that I put a lot of play and a lot of love into this figure. He also came with a crocodile, which actually looks more like an alligator, but I'm not really sure on how that works, but it was supposed to be a crocodile, but a lot of people said alligator. I like the little chain it came with. That was pretty cool. I'm going to compare that to the classified one here in a minute. I do have a bunch of modern Croc Masters from the 25th anniversary style line of figures, but I decided not to look at those today and stick with the vintage and do some comparisons with the classified version. Now, the classified version is number 38 in the series and is a deluxe figure. It had one of the newer back posters, and course, it had all that stuff on the side that we still haven't figured out. But the side art is pretty good, and yeah, that was this right here is in the thumbnail a little bit, but it's also on in this part here too on Joe Takes 11, the little promo for this video that I made. Technically, my first cover conversions video, but the card art's pretty good. So I give a closer look at that. But this box was really big, and there's a reason for that. It came, or should I say, he came with Fiona. Now, Fiona, this was worth the price I paid for it. I mean, this crocodile is completely posable. It's got a bendable tail. The paws, the claws move, and the legs, both front and back. The mouth opens up, and it came with, I'm going to set her down for a second so I can show you this, but it came with 2 little baby crocodiles. Maybe if I can get them in, there we go. One albino. I thought that was neat. They didn't name these ones. And for the first time ever, like on the box art, they gave the crocodile a name, Fiona, which I thought was pretty cool. Now he may have named his crocodile in the comics. I don't really remember for sure, but we'll talk about that in a bit. I still want to look at this crocodile. I mean, they went out of their way to make a good product. I mean, the mouth opens and closes, the head moves up and down. It's on a ball joint, so it moves pretty good. Tail has really good movement, and then there's a joint here, so the crocodile can really pose. And so when you compare it to this, they did do some modern Croc Masters with the crocodile, and that one was pretty good in the mouth open. But I just have fond memories of this one, it being the first one. And how can you deny that crocodile grin there? That was pretty good. And so they did update the chain, like for the vintage figure. They had the little chain where he had the grip on the top. Now, like I said, they updated that, and this slides right over the crocodile's neck, but just not as well as the original, but it still goes on there pretty good. And then the figure can hold the handle really good. Although I really don't see him using that on Fiona. She's supposed to be his best trained crocodile, right? And if he is a reptile trainer, should he not need a chain? But then again, we're talking about a wild animal, a crocodile especially. Now, before I jump in, I'd almost forgot something, and from last week. I did find, well, it's actually from week before last, when I couldn't find my Stormshadow accessories. I did find some of them. I did get one complete for my original vintage, and then I'm missing the nunchuck on this one, but I found the bow and one of the katana, or the larger sword, the wakizashi, whatever you want to call it. But I just, like I said, with me and my OCD, I had to find it, and it as it turned out, looking for this whip, I found it in the same bag. Go figure. Now that takes us to this awesome classified figure. Now, as far as updates go, this is really one of the better ones. I mean, the eyeball on the belt, they carried that over really well. The whip, I think I like the original whip better, to be honest. This one, I wish they'd have done something with it, that it wasn't in this shape. I mean, you can pull it out and use it, as you'll see at the end of the video. I'm actually going to add to it on Joe Takes 11. But, yeah, I don't know what they were doing with that. And the rebreather, I mean, this, I'm surprised I still had my hose on him. But yeah, like I said, I keep them in little baggies, so it was in there, but the whip wasn't. I had to go look for it, but it's going to be in there now. And he came with this really nasty meat hook. Then he had a pistol on the left side, which is the same as the vintage. Let me get that out of the way so you can. Oh, vintage figures, man. There we go. There's the pistol and the pistol. Now, he also had a knife in the right boot. If I can get my big old fingers out of the way. And he's got a knife on the right boot. So they did a pretty good rendition of it across from vintage to classified. Now there are certain things that are different. I mean, the boots are just really kind of green and not really don't really have that crocodile or alligator pattern, but they did that on the tank top that he's wearing, and the cobra symbol they did really well. Also his rebreather, and I don't know if that is picking it up very well, but his eyes, they painted red really well. I thought that was really cool. They've got some kind of, they got, like I said, a rebreather on the back. I thought that was a nice touch for the classified. And they carried over his gauntlet on the right and his reptile skin on the left. I just thought they did an outstanding job putting this classified figure together. It is one of my favorite classified figures, even though Crocmaster isn't in my Cobra top 10. He's still a really cool character. So that takes us to the comic book. And the only comic he was ever on the cover of is this yearbook. As it turns out, I used to have all of them, but that's the only one I have left. Like I said, I had a comic book store, and for a while there, I was selling everything I had. So those first 3 yearbooks went pretty quick, but I managed to get them all in this collected edition, which is super nice. The G.I. Joe yearbook, all in one trade paperback, and it's so big it really doesn't fit into the comic bag, but I managed to get it in there and tape it up. I generally don't like to tape them. It can damage the book, so I generally fold them in like that. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of collectors do that. But it turned out that was the only yearbook I ended up still having. Is number 4. That was the last one they made, and it happens to be the only cover with Crocmaster on it. And this storyline with Crocmaster was pretty good. This might be the one where he names Fiona in it. I should have taken a look before I started this video, but I actually had to find that because I had it mixed in right before the Cobra Civil War in here, because that's in chronological order. That's where it is. I will probably keep it with my trade paperback at this point now. But apparently in Cobra, excuse me for a sec. Apparently in Cobra, Crocmaster is like their security of Cobra Island. He takes care of the swamps. I don't really think I ever saw him anywhere else. He wasn't in many of the comic books, but the ones that he was in are pretty memorable. He gave the October Guard a pretty good run for their money in this. And Wetsuit and Torpedo were in that. Both of them, it was kind of cool because they weren't in their wetsuits. For a change, they were actually decked out in Navy Silk camo instead of their wetsuits, which was kind of cool. Because normally they would even on land they would wear their wetsuits, their diving suits, and that was nice to see them. Those 2 Navy SEALs decked out in camo and in really cool gear, but Crocmaster was dealing with the October Guard, and they just kind of went around him. You'll have to read it. It was pretty cool. It was an interesting storyline, and that it kind of led into Cobra Civil War, but not exactly. This is when the imposter Cobra Commander, that was actually Fred the Seventh, the Crimson Guardsman, was in the Cobra Commander armor. and the October Guard went in and thought they had kidnapped Cobra Commander, but they actually took it just the battle armor. So that was an interesting fight there in the swamps that they did in this yearbook. Interesting way to do that. Normally, the yearbook storylines didn't actually continue into the regular series. I mean, they happened in the continuity, but they were generally standalone storylines in the yearbooks, but not this time. This actually went from one issue into the yearbook and then into another. So it was neat, and that's probably why I hung on to it, because I wanted to keep my storyline continuous. And for sure, that was the only Crocmaster cover, and it's really decent. I like that one a lot. Now, as like I said, as far as his position in Cobra, that's it. He was just island security. And during the Civil War, he sided with Serpentor. So when the Joe showed up, he was like, "Go give him one for me," you know. Kind of on the Joe side in that moment, but not really. Crocmaster's motives were never really revealed in the comic book, and he was never in any of the cartoons, as far as I know. He hit that spot where he probably should have been in the movie. They had a big swamp scene in the movie. Crocmaster should have been in that, and Pythona should have gotten past him at the beginning of that movie. I don't know why they didn't take that opportunity to have him. I've always wanted to go back and do like little clips and see if I can get somebody to animate them for me of little add-ons of this should have been in G.I. Joe the movie type thing. All these different characters like Sneak Peek and Tunnel Rat. Well, Tunnel Rat was in there, but Outback. There were so many opportunities to just have little clips with all the new figures in it. And for some reason, they just focused on the Renegades, the Cobra Law, and then those four that they picked out, and then they added Big Lob. What was it for? It was Chuckles, Jinx, Tunnel Rat, Falcon, and then Big Lob. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 5. I don't know why they added Big Lob. They had the fridge that year that they could have used. He was a sports figure too, but maybe they couldn't get the rights. Who knows? Either way, I think they missed a lot. They had all this money in this budget to make this movie, and most of it probably went to paying Don Johnson to be Lieutenant Falcon and Burgess Meredith to be Galobulus. Sir Sergeant Slaughter, got his, what he normally got, probably, maybe a bit more. Who knows? But that's probably where their budget went for that, because they supposedly spent like $5 million on it, and for an animated movie in 1986-87, that was a big deal. I think it was the first time they'd ever spent more than $1 million on an animated movie like that. I could be wrong, but that's kind of how I remember it. They kind of made a big deal out of that. I lost my train of thought, but yeah, Crocmaster just did not hit it. He didn't hit in the movie, and then the next year they didn't have an animated series. And then they put a new Crocmaster out in the vintage line at all. Now they had some. I think they had Crocmaster was one of the ones that Cobra Commander, I think, killed in the bunker. So in the early 2000s with the Spy Troops and the Valor versus Venom and the G.I. Joe versus Cobra, right there in the 2000 to 2006, that little era of figures. They had some new ones, but they called him Crocmaster 2. But when they brought him back in the modern line, it was the original Crocmaster again. So I don't know how the storyline would work with that with Larry Hama. I had, I've read a lot of the IDW line, but not all of it. I actually had a lot more than I thought. I was looking for my yearbook this morning, and I found a ton of them. More so than I thought I had, but I did have a subscription there for a while. That book was without a subscription is kind of hard to find sometimes, especially depending on the area you're in, I'm sure. But where I'm at, they don't have G.I. Joe on the shelves much. So as far as comic book, that's his big appearance. Cartoon didn't exist. I think they may have animated him for a commercial, possibly, but so I don't think so. Where I place him in my storyline is he's like my Night Adder, which is my Cobra officer, chief of security. He's like right under him on Cobra Island. In fact, he runs things on Cobra Island while Cobra officer runs things as Night Adder everywhere. Yeah. Night Adder came with that big old Rottweiler. Yeah, my kid is studying to be a groomer, and she made sure that I knew that was a Rottweiler. I had remembered that it was a Rottweiler, but I couldn't think of it during that video where I was doing the top 10 Cobras. So that takes us to where we're at with Croc Master and Cobra Convergence 7. We start off the Operation Dungeon Siege Part 1, and that's what we got here for you at the end of this video. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy the video. Looking out. Greetings. I'm Christopher Logan Hilt, and I've been recently dubbed the G.I. Joe Gamer. So I'm the G.I. Joe Gamer, and we're here to talk about Firefly today. This is going to be Joe Takes number 12. Also, it's going to be my submission for Cobra Convergence number 7. Now, that's been going on all month. There's going to be a link in the description to Hooded Cobra Commander 788's website. So you check that out if you want the full schedule for Cobra Convergence for all the content creators who are jumping on board on that. I'm doing my own bit for that called Operation Dungeon Siege. Today I'm going to have part 2 at the end of the video. And so hopefully you'll enjoy that. But we're just going to jump right into the figure. This is my original version of Firefly. I didn't buy this at the store. I traded it for comic books, I think, to one of the neighbor kids. We were trading comics and Joes back and forth. Now those accessories are from one of the more modern ones, but I managed to get all of his accessories and put them together. They're the same accessories. I actually like the black, but his original ones were I think an off green, maybe a they weren't all a drab, that's for sure. In '92, he came out with this figure here, and I like this one. In '93, for a change, when they brought him out again, they had the repaint, had black. I like that a lot better. Uh, File cards are going to be near the end of the video, so if you want to pause and check those out, you can do that. I do have a card of example of Firefly from the modern era. So there's this one. I did like the way they put this figure together, so that's some fun. And there's a file card if you need to. That takes us to the classified box art. Now, Firefly, he's in my top 5 of my favorite Cobras. So I've been looking forward to doing this video. And he's number 21 in the series. And then you got your box art. And I thought this box art was pretty cool. Also will be near the end of the video a better look at the box art. Let's see. He had this backpack that had if I can put it up here, the controller for his drone actually fits right in there. So I've got it in there right now. And this bomb comes off, so you can actually put a bomb and set it, which I used in the trailer for next week's Joe Takes. And the little drone, I thought it was really cool. You could fly it around. And the legs would fold up. Now, I do remember that it attached to the backpack, but as I was trying to put it together here a little while ago, I forgot how it does that. It slides right on here, but I'm not going to play around with it in the video. But the classified Firefly is really cool. I like this gun. I definitely like the goggles with the little antenna. I like the fact that you could slide the goggles over his eyes. Now, a lot of people don't like this vest because it hinders his movement, and that is true. However, I still thought this was a really good figure. I know they're coming out with a new Firefly in the classified series, and that's cool. But I do like the original. So the new one actually is more pays homage more to the vintage, which is normal. So that takes us to comic books. Firefly was in the comics from way back in the 20s or 30s. He appeared issues 20s and 30s. But my most memorable Firefly comic appearance was when Cobra Commander had basically killed a bunch of people he thought were traitors, and Firefly was grouped in with them and locked them in a landlocked freighter, and most of them died of food poisoning or something. It was pretty nasty. But Firefly, Zartan, and Billy escaped that. Billy was Cobra Commander's son, for those who don't know. But this issue, Firefly came back. This is his original mask here, but he's actually in his 92 uniform that I have right here with the original mask on, and then he put the new face. It was like a gas mask and then a hat. And they made it look so much cooler in the comics, but that's where we're at with Firefly in the comic books. They revealed that he was a ninja, and I always pretended that he was a ninja because of the way his file card was written. So it didn't come as a shock to me when Hama decided he was a ninja too. He actually was accepted by the Arashikage, Stormshadow and Snake Eyes' ninja clan, as one of their masters. He was known as the Faceless Master. But he was from the neighboring clan or friendly clan, as it were, the Koga, which turned out to be the Red Ninjas that they used throughout the entire Hama run of G.I. Joe. I don't know if he still uses them, but I don't see why he wouldn't. So Firefly actually was leading the Red Ninjas there at the last. it had a lot of interesting storylines. I liked a lot of the special missions that he was in, and so I did like the line that the banter back and forth between him and Stormshadow in that comic, where he asked the question, "How do you explain that my face was obscured in every known photograph?" And Stormshadow came back with, "Simple, you move your head," and he replied with, "The old tricks work the best," or something along those lines. So Larry Hama has a really cool writing style, and it's I don't need to go into that ever. Anybody who watches my Joe Tex knows I really like the Hama verse more as over the comics. I mean the cartoon. Now the Sunbow cartoon, really cool. He first appeared in the Rise of Cobra, Revenge of Cobra movie. Not Rise of Cobra. He was in the Rise of Cobra movie, played by Ray Stevens, who did a really good job as Firefly, I thought. And that was in G.I. Joe Retaliation. Uh, they had so many things outside of the movie where they said like he was an ex Joe and all that. I don't know. There was more storyline outside of the movies than there was in, I think, and I think that's one of the things that was detraction for the movies. I like the movies, but that's just me probably. Um, but in the cartoon, he has had some memorable moments. Cobra's candidate at the end of that, he blew up this bunch of abandoned buildings, and their candidate when it was revealed that he was a Cobra, him and Zartan pretty much punched him out and then pushed him in the water and left him behind. So that was kind of cool. But the most memorable episode of the Sunbow series with Firefly, for me, was Oda Cobra, where at the beginning he went and dressed up as a mummy, stuck into a museum, and stole a ancient Egyptian tablet that had these writings on it. And then Cobra translated that and created this love potion that the Baroness was using to try and get the richest man in the world to. He owned this shipping company, and the Cobra wanted to control it. And there was a lot of fun moments in that with Firefly trying to hide his identity, even though he wore a mask. I don't know why the writers went in that direction, but they did. It's all good. I really had a lot of fun in that episode, watching that episode, and I still do. Every once in a while, I'll go back and watch it, and I enjoy it a lot. Now, he was also in the final episode of the Sunbow series where Cobra Commander was forming the coil to get rid of Serpentor, and Firefly was working for him. Um, there was to think of other instances in the Sunbow cartoon. Firefly had quite a few. He wasn't. I wouldn't say it wasn't considered a mainstream character like Cobra Commander Destro and Zartan and Baroness, but as I said, he's in my top 5 of my Cobra favorites. So um, I was looking forward to doing this. Now I had tried to, and this is my second time trying to do this video this morning, but I tried to do it through another format, and it didn't work out. So we're here doing it the way I originally do, and I think I like it better. So I think I'm going to stick with this. Coming up next week on Joe Takes is Joe Takes 13. I got a trailer for that coming on Monday. That's also going to be in Hooded Cobra Commander 7/8's weekly Cobra Convergence 7 video. So check that out. Like in the description for the schedule for that, it will be found on his website, and the link is in the description below. Firefly, if we want to talk about him in where he was in the hierarchy of Cobra, I don't think he really was. He was more of a mercenary character, but he did kind of fill that role sometimes. He would lead Cobra troops sometimes, comics and cartoons. So, in my head canon, he's a Cobra Commander. That would be his rank. Uh, uh, Cobra Commander. He's a little biased. His favorite rank is Commander, but that's just my head canon. So. And Firefly leads the Red Ninjas. So He's kind of in charge of all the Cobra ninjas, including the Stormshadow clones in my head canon. So that's where I sit with Firefly. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it didn't seem a little rushed because, like I said, this is my second pass at it. So, to the end of this, I'm gonna have the file cards and artwork, and I'm also gonna do the trailer. I'm gonna play the trailer for Operation Dungeon Siege Part 2 for this video. It's actually not the trailer in this video; it's part of the video. So I hope you enjoy that. And with that all being said, Logan out.
I believe our security blanket has run into a bit of a problem. That's not in our original contract, Destro. The money has already been wired into your Swiss bank account. In that case, you just bought yourself an extra hour at least.
Greetings, I'm Christopher Logan Hilt, G.I. Joe Gamer, and welcome to Joe Takes number 13. Today we're looking at bats from the hilt. Now, I'm going to do this a little differently today. Normally, I take a look at the vintage figure. I'm going to do that. My setup here, I usually have comics to look at, but we're kind of moving a bunch of stuff around and setting up our game room, and things that have changed in the last week or so. But today, what I've got for you, first of all, got some battle stands, so we'll open that bag up and take. I'm going to use just black ones. We'll take some of those out, and hopefully we won't break any feet off today. And I'm dealing with this today too. It's just one of those days. Being asthmatic, be fun. So I have a bag of bats, and I have a bag of bats. So let's take a look at my bats. I was going through my accessories, and I found some from version 2. I found some from my modern 25th anniversary, some accessories from that. I had a hard time running down any of my original bats accessories. That's all I could find, and I'm hoping I actually put them in with my bats. So we'll take a look at them and see what's going on. And just seeing how this is the first troop builder that I'm taking a look at on Joe Takes as part of Cobra Convergence and Operation Dungeon Siege. So that'll be at the end of the video. So we'll have that. And if you saw on Joe Takes 13, you'll know what I'm talking about. But here's what these ones look like. And apparently the reason why I couldn't find the accessories is because I wisely stuck them in with the bats. So we got one on a battle stand. That's one down. So we'll take a look. And so far, so goody. We haven't found any that go with my other accessories. Now, as for my modern bats, those are in a different bag, but I only have like 3 of those, I think. So those are with my modern figures and the 25th anniversary style. I call them modern figures, 25th anniversary. I like to call them millennial figures because that's right at the beginning of the millennium. That's where they are, but that's just me. Yeah, so I got at least 2 of those. I have a little army of bats, but I'll get him a battle stand and have him set up on a battle stand. Some of these battle stands have the peg on the right and some have it on the left. It's kind of weird, but what I like about these guys, though, they were from I think the Valor versus Venom era, right in the early 2000s, maybe G.I. Joe versus Cobra or Spy Troops. It was definitely Spy Troops or Valor versus Venom. But I got these with the Monster Blaster APC, the black one, black and gold. That's a much better Monster Blaster APC, I gotta say. I don't have the original, but I did have that one. Let me see if I can find any more like this. That one qualifies because I had like that Monster Blaster APC came with like 6 bats, so it was pretty cool. But one of the bats was way different. It was like the Bat Mark 4 or something like that. Because these are like the Bat Mark 3. These ones here. So my little army built up here. Then what I'll try to do is get a shot of them all together after I'm done doing my little thing here with giving my Joe take on the bat. This one actually has a different coloration. So it might have not come with that, but it's hard to say. I bought so many action figures in the early 2000s. Oh, here's another one of those. And I got my vintage bats and my version 2 bats. So the bag aside, these little bags. I like to keep them in, like I said before, I like to keep them in these little baggies. Keeps them safe, and that way I can put all their accessories when I find them in with them. So let me see here. I got one more of these version 3 bats, and then I'll look at some version 4 bats, and then I'll go backwards and look at the version 2. And I should have done the version 4 bats first, I guess, but it's all good. But I decided to do things a little different because, like I said, it's my first troop builder. And, well, I wanted to show off something that I actually did troop build, and that was the bats. Not particularly because I like the bats so much. It's just because they were easy to troop build. Now, I did start doing that with Vipers later on. I never really could troop build with the troopers until the modern line, but I have 2 of these version 4 bats, and these ones actually you could replace both hands, which I'm glad they carried that over to the classified, where you could use both hands. So yeah, without it, he kind of looks kind of naked. But we'll get his hands on him, and these ones actually just kind of pop on. It was definitely a different way of doing it with the bat, but I thought it worked pretty good if I could keep a hold of it with my big old fingers. But so there he goes with his hands. And for some reason, I don't have a backpack for this one. I might have missed these in the accessories because I wasn't really looking for the bats from the 2000 line. But yeah, he comes with I think that would be your machine gun, and I got 2 of those in here. So that actually might be for the other one because I have another one. Then it came with this really cool blade arm, and I like that about this bat. But the one I like the most in this style of the Mark IV bats, I'm pretty sure I've got it correct on that. So I like the coloration on this one. It was really cool. And I'm pretty sure these 2 came, these are the 6 that came with my Monster Blaster APC. Because like I said, I didn't really start the troop build until the modern line. I mean, I had some. I did troop build a bit, but with the vintage. But it wasn't that I didn't want to. It's because I really never had the funds available to troop build. And I'm sure that's true of a lot of people. Oh, yeah, these are even marked Bat Mark IV. So that's a good thing, I suppose. Yep. I got lots of extra machine guns. So because he came with one. They're slightly different colors, so that kind of helps. Yeah, they both came with 2. So he's got one on his arm here. But I'll put their hands on them so they can put their hands up. But yeah, I don't think these 2 came with a backpack. That's what it was. The Mark IVs, they just came with their accessories where you can swap out their hands. And he also came with a blade arm. So yeah, they both came with 2 machine guns. Machine gun flamethrower combos, I think. I'm not really sure. They did a lot of weird stuff with the bats, but I like the bats. The bats are pretty cool. Not my favorite Cobra Trooper, but we'll get a little bit of how I feel about the difference between Vipers and Troopers. Larry Hama doesn't distinguish between them. I do slightly, but like I said, we'll talk about that in a bit. Now, these version 2 bats actually came with black battle stands, so I'm going to leave them in with the figure when I put them away. Now, I did not find their extra accessories, and the reason for that is because I put them in with them, which is nice. Because all they came with, and I double checked this, is they came with the one flamethrower arm or machine gun, depending on how you view it. And I'm pretty sure these ones can only switch out the one hand. So we'll put the hand on it. And then they had the backpack that had the missile launcher that they can actually attach to their hand, which I'll do that once to show you exactly how that was supposed to work. So it does work. They can actually attach it to the arm, but I'm going to attach the accessories to it. It oddly enough had a spot for both accessories on the backpack. If I can get them to go on there, here we go. Like I said, they have a spot for both because there's one on that side where you could place the hand on there as well. But I'm going to put the hand on him. And then I'll put the backpack on his back. There he goes. Version 2 bat is pretty cool. I did like it. Not as much as the original, but I think a lot of people, maybe it's nostalgia, but I do prefer the original bat to any of the newer marks that they put out. And so far, so good. No mayhaps on the battle stands. That's not jinx it though. But yeah, that backpack, it really worked for the bat. And they in that 90s era, they had to have those missile launchers. Yeah, here's these Mark IIs. Yeah, it was. I wisely marked the bags too. So let me see. This one is missing the extra hand. Okay, so I probably have that somewhere in my accessories, but looking through them, I didn't find any. So this guy will just put his backpack on him. So I managed to find the backpacks and the missiles. So I'll be able to reunite them. So this one will just be missing a hand. Unfortunately, I won't be able to give him a hand. That's just how it is. There he is. So like I said, I got a few bats. Not going to bust out the, like I said, the modern bats, but, well, not all. My vintage bats, the version 1, Bat Mark 1, they have, minor issues like, and I haven't looked at these yet, so some of these I may have to replace the O-ring. Like I think this one is going to have to be replaced, and I'll definitely replace them before I put them away. And I don't know how long I'll have my bats out here. Now, this one's got the hand arm, and I'm going to leave that on there. Like I said, I wasn't able to really find a lot of the accessories. Some of them might have them in it, but we'll see. I've got 3 of these vintage bats, so I will put the accessories with the one that needs it the most or looks the best, so I can get a more complete figure. But this one doesn't have the chest plate working thing that has like a 3D effect on it, which I really liked. So we'll be looking at some of that here as I get into my basket of bats. This one I think has the accessories with it. This one didn't have a backpack, so I did only find the one backpack out of the 3 that I have, and it's probably because I traded for that extra bat. I did a lot of that when I was a teenager. Trade for figures and comics back and forth. These need to go where I put them and stay where I put them. All right, so he's actually got the flamethrower arm. So this is definitely his because that's what's missing, and his hand is missing. So I don't know what happened to the hand. There's a handoff on this one too. He's actually in pretty good shape. I think the crotch piece is broken a little bit, but not all the way. Just like right at the bottom. Some of them broke that way. They break at the bottom and at the top. But he's got his. Like I'm going to have to be careful on. Yep, there it goes. We had an ankle mishap, and I wasn't even applying a lot of pressure. I think I can fix that one with a little glue. So, no battle stand for this boy. Yep. Sometimes this plastic is really fragile on these vintage figures, and yeah, bummer. I might switch the legs on that other one for that one, and part out the 3rd bat that I have. Whatever works, right? Even being careful, clearly. Yep, and I'm missing his hand as well. I probably put them someplace so they'd be safe, and then I forgot where that place was, naturally. Yeah, he's missing the claw hand. Oh, no, he's got the claw hand. He's missing the machine gun flamethrower bit. So maybe that battle stand was too big. No, just this one slid right on there. So it's just a difference. This is like my best example of the vintage bat. It's got all the pieces intact. Yeah, and naturally the backpack doesn't want to stay on, but there it goes. I just didn't have it pushed in far enough. But he's got everything but the the other attachment that's either a flamethrower machine gun. I think that's the flamethrower right there, and the other one's the machine gun. But the one I liked the best was the claw hand accessory. And I really do like that on the classified version. So now that we have, well, let's see, we have 4 of the Mark 3s, 2 of the Mark 2s, 2 of the Mark 4s. So the even numbers are even. And then 3 of the Mark 1s. So odds and evens. That's interesting. I didn't even realize that. But yeah, I got to replace the O-ring on that other bat anyway. So I'll swap the legs out on the other one and see if I can glue that together and fix it up. I can't look at vintage figures without having some kind of mishap sometimes. But that's how it is. So that puts my total of bats to 11 of the vintage. If you count the 2000 eras as vintage, if you don't, then I have the 5. I have the 3 originals and the 2 Mark IIs. So that's where we're at with the vintage figures. Well, let's look at the classified. Now the first one that came out was the original bat, and the original bat was number 33 in the series of the classified series. And so we're just rolling right along here looking at bats. I did like the artwork for the bat and the box art. It'll be near the end of the video. I'll have a better look at the box art for the bats and for the vintage as well. If I'll make sure I find it one way or the other and have it on there, even if it takes a little longer to finish the video up. But naturally, we have that standard banner on the back, and that would take us to the number 41 of the series, the Python bat. And the artwork is, is it the same? I mean, it is, but it's the coloration changed a little bit. Then you got the Cobra Island thing on the back. I mean, Python Patrol, it's still technically in the Cobra Island series. I know they're trying to differentiate them, but as far as I'm concerned, the Target exclusives, they're all the same. And then we had the number 60. That would be, if we get the glare off of that. Number 60 of the series is the Crimson Bat. Now, I didn't want to get this figure, to be honest with you. I went, I don't need another bat, but I got some birthday money that I could only spend on Amazon, so I was like, all right, I'll get the Crimson Bat because it's what I don't have, and I got pretty much everything out that I didn't have at the time, which was nice. I got birthday money and some Christmas money this year, which helped me really expand my classified collection. But I do like that box art. I don't know if I found this box art. Like I said, I'll try to see what I've got and put a lot of stuff at the end of this video. But then on the back, it shows the picture of the figure and it's all his accessories. Now, like I said, I was like, I don't need another bat. But then I got this one, and he's my favorite of the classified bats, just because of the way he looks and everything. What was really cool was that it came with this foot locker and number 60 on there, and then there we go. I think I've got it the right way now. These things are really cool because then you can put all your bat accessories in here if you don't want to leave them in the box, but I leave everything in the box. So, and what I've got in here is the battle damage chest plate and the battle damage head. Battle damage. I don't think there's any extra things in here because the rest of it I have on the figure, which we're about to take a look at. If I can close the foot locker up. There we go. Foot locker. I like these. I'm pretty sure like this is the first Cobra foot locker I got. I might be wrong about that, but I'm fairly certain. So that takes us to the actual classified bat. I mean, I've got the machine gun arm on him, and then in the backpack, got the hand set up, the claw, which I really like, and then they got the flamethrower. I love how the pistol, you know, they did that with the modern figures too, where the pistol was removable, and it was cool that on the new bats that both hands could swap out the accessories. And I'm only going to do this with the vintage bat here, but I'm going to take the chest plate off so you get a good look at the gear workings on the chest. I like that about the bat. Well, like I said, it's not my favorite trooper, but we'll talk about that stuff here in a bit when I get into just talking about the character. And there's plenty of character to a bat, believe it or not. My least favorite of the classified bats is the Python bat. Now, I like a lot of the coloration, but then it's like, let's put targets on this bat. Let's make him have yellow booties and a yellow belt, and then we'll put his gun in a nice big old yellow target so people can shoot the gun right and make it explode right on his leg. Help the Joes have targets to help destroy the bats. But you know, I got his the flamethrower arm on him. Then he's got his hand, his normal hand, the claw arm, and the machine gun. Like I said, I'm pretty sure that's the way they are. The more solid looking one is a flamethrower, the other is the machine gun, but I could be wrong. And I've been wrong before. Now, like I said, I love these chest plates. I did like that about this figure with the Python Patrol symbol on his chest. And I do like the coloration of this figure is awesome without the yellow. If they'd have made the yellow red or even a black color like the arms, that would have been cool. But we got the yellow. So, which it's not that I don't like yellow. I just don't think it makes any sense for this figure. So we will get to my favorite bat now. Now this bat, this is the bat I did not need, you know. Now it looks like his chest plate has fallen off. We made a video for these guys with featuring these bats, so it'll be at the end of this video too. So I may have that chest plate may have got popped off and is probably sitting on my art table in the other room. But as soon as we get everything situated, I'll actually have my art table in my studio, as it were, all in one area, and that would be nice. Okay, so for him, I have the normal hands working because for some reason the hand arm does not clip on very well, and it doesn't. None of these parts really clip on. There's the claw arm is my favorite. I got that on there. Then we got the flamethrower, the machine gun, and the backpack. The coloration on this particular bat, though, they hit it. The subdued gray boots and the holster. He's not a target. Well, he's red, but in the dark, this is a dark red. It's like he's not like standout Armamentic red. He is Crimson Guard red, and I do like that about this figure. And you know, I may do a video just about the Crimson Guard a little later, especially when they come out. They got that Crimson Viper coming out, and I believe that they might be doing an exclusive Crimson Baroness and Tonex and Zaymont in red. And I would like to wait to do a video like that, just like I'm waiting to do a Dreadnought video because they don't have a lot of Dreadnoughts out. But classified bat, the Python bat and the Crimson bat, I dig these figures. They're really cool. Okay, so that takes us to what is a bat? A bat is an acronym for a battle android trooper or a battle android tactical. Originally, they were. I think they started going in that direction to make the bat with the snake armor because it was autonomous. It could be controlled remotely or with a pilot. And I wish I had my snake armor or the. Originally, it was called Yeah, it was snake armor, and then they renamed it the serpent armor in the modern line. I have the modern one. I don't have the vintage. Uh, I did like that originally. It was white, and then they had a blue one. I have the serpent armor that I have is black though, and it's really cool. So, a bat, they're mindless, so they just have whatever you program into them. So, I suppose they could have autonomous ones like Overkill, which was really cheesy in the '90s. The Overkill version they came out with, but in the 2000s, that's the version I have with the Valor versus Venom line, and I think I have 2 versions of that in different colors. And he was pretty cool. And it looks like Luna, my kitten, is trying to say hello. She's down here. Come here, you. Yes, this is Luna. She's made an appearance in some of my other videos, but she likes to come bug me when I'm working. But that's okay. But she did make me lose my train of thought, so that's not okay. As far as we'll talk about the Sunbow comic cartoon first. In the cartoon, the bats they showed up in the first episode of Arise, Serpentor Arise, and they were pretty cool. And they gave the Joes a rough time, and then Sergeant Slaughter showed up and made it look like they were toys. That's really what it made it look like. But the bats can be formidable opponents, even in the cartoon. Some of the most memorable moments with bats is one of them was still a painting in the Serpentor's My Favorite Things, the episode about Serpentor gathering up all his favorite things. And the bat, still a painting, jumped out a window. The Night Raven came by and he threw the painting because he didn't quite make it to it, and it went into the drone. And then the bat fell into a house or a shed or something, and he came out and he had a pitchfork in his chest, and he just pulled it out and looked up, and I believe they said the bat missed his ride or something like that. It was kind of funny. Not a ghost of a chance. The Joes were dealing with a bat on an island, and I believe they used a bowler to smash it or something it's been a while since I've seen that one. Most memorable though, I think, was the whole deal with Serpentor, not Serpentor, but with Sergeant Slaughter, where Sergeant Slaughter just showed up and took out all these bats. Other than that, though, they used bats a lot, but just I do know that Beachhead shot one of their heads off one time, and it still picked him up and threw him off of Havoc. And so, yeah, they did some pretty interesting things with the bats on the cartoon. Now, in the comic book by Larry Hama, the Marvel run, he had the bats in there. Also, he had the bats in the first appearance of my favorite character, Airtight. So I do want to go into that, and I will show off that comic book. But the bats are on the cover of that one, but they're like what it shows one of them like driving a truck, I think, and then Lady J is about to get run over by the truck. And it's a really cool cover, but it doesn't really feature the bat so much as it does Lady J. And so I really couldn't find covers that really focused on the bat. I mean, there's a lot of they had some covers with bats, and I haven't, like I said, I have everything all kind of disheveled right now. So I just decided to not do the comic this week and just focus on my little bat army here. So with the classified and the other 3 that I have, that would put me up to 17, I think. So 11 and 6 is 17. Yeah. So somewhere around that is my bat total. But then I have some. Like I said, I have the modern bat too. So it might be a little more than that because I have the 25th anniversary bat along with. I got one of the bats I got with a 3-pack with Cobra Officer and a Saw Viper. I think that was the female Cobra Officer. But in the comics, they usually set the bats down. Like every time they attack the pit, they'd send the bats in first, just to be mowed down. And that was kind of cool. And again, in a later issue, they attacked the Pit 3 in Utah. And they had the bats come in, and my favorite character again with Barbecue, they fought off the bats. It was really cool. But like my favorite character, Airtight, he's not in a lot of comics or cartoons, but he had his moments. So where does that put the bat in the Cobra hierarchy? Nowhere. It's just a autonomous machine that they use as a weapon against G.I. Joe. So I guess that takes us to the end of the video. Like I said, there is going to be a Cobra Convergence bit at the end of this. This would be part, we had Crocmaster, Firefly, and this would be the bats. This would be part 3. So we're going to have the fourth part of Cobra Convergence. And all of this is part of my own Operation Dungeon Siege, which will continue into August and into what I'm calling G.I. Joe Gold Bricks. And I will really go into that more next time after next week's video. So with that all being said, Logan out. Bravo leader to Pit. This is Bravo leader to Pit. Pit here. This is Mainframe coming at you. Go ahead, Beachhead. We have located the bunker. Apparently, Bazooka and Barbecue are okay because they found a bomb and Bazooka disarmed it and they're playing around with it. But this bunker, there's no way we're going to hit it with an airstrike. So please advise, sir. All right, let me ask Flint. Oh, sorry for the delay there, Beachhead. Flint says that you're going to have to go in on your own. As usual, me and these Fire Team Alpha Gold Bricks are going to be just fine. Beachhead out. All right, let's get this straightened out here. I'll get this off the screen, and I'll come back on here and wrap this up. I do have a few things I wanted to mention. I really enjoyed doing Operation Dungeon Siege, and it has 4 more parts, which I'll play in the next Joe Takes. But you can watch those as individual videos on this channel, and also as I consolidated just the stop motion stuff into one video, so you can check it all out. It's just the video is just called Operation Dungeon Siege, so you can probably check that out. The other thing I wanted to bring up was tomorrow night on From the Hilt, we're actually our topic take is going to be G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra. Now the tribute video for that has been up since Monday, but I'm going to play it for you here as we leave. Now, I hope everybody enjoyed this episode of Joe Takes Classics, and I'm glad that a lot of you showed up, and I appreciate you being here. So I will I'll see you next time, and with that all being said, Logan out.
I want the warheads ready to launch in 1 hour. When I'm finished, this world will never forget.
We have never faced a threat like this. A team is being assembled. They're the best operatives in the world. When all else fails, we don't.
I want in.
Standing in front of you, a Delta 6 accelerator suit.
What's it accelerate?
You.
General Hawk. Mission is a go.
Here they come.
Go, go, go!
We're running out of time. Eject!
This has only just begun.
In the heat of battle, we rise to the occasion. With courage in our hearts and unwavering dedication, our mission united to protect and defend, fighting for justice until the very end. Mission united to protect and defend, fighting for justice until the very end. Brave soldiers, we stand tall, marching forward, one and all. Together we'll conquer, we won't back down. Nothing can stop us, we wear the crown. We are the heroes of the battlefield.